people really scared about certain things, talking about recession, talking about fuel costs. Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth. Flipper, welcome to the cabin. Today is going to be a different type of video, although after we do this first part here that has a different topic and a different flavor than you're used to, then we're going to still do a few what solds. This isn't a typical day I do shipping, but we're definitely going to need to get some things out of here, and there's two real bangers in there too that are going to make some money, so I'm pretty happy about that. But I wanted to address some questions, some thoughts, some comments that I have seen more and more and more over the last, say, 3 weeks to a month than I've seen ever. Different questions, different concerns. People really scared about certain things, talking about recession, talking about fuel costs, talking about inflation, talking about all kinds of things like that as it relates to reselling and the fears that a lot of resellers have out there. And I think some of them are legitimate, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to kind of look for the silver lining in some of them and hopefully discuss with you guys, maybe get some feedback from you in the comments, what you think, how you're feeling out there, how your store is performing if you're a reseller. Just get a little bit of a feel for what you guys think about some of these issues. You know, it was interesting about 3 weeks ago or so now, Pete Craigslist Hunter, who I still watch all the time, I enjoy that show, started talking about this stuff. And at the same time, I was getting tons of different comments than I'm usually getting on this show, and I'm like, you know what, I listened to his opinion on some of this stuff. He's been doing it a long time. He's got some great wisdom, and I wanted to chime in a little bit to my viewers as well. Now, if you've been watching the show for the last couple of weeks, I've been teasing this topic for a while because I knew I was going to do this video, and I was kind of collecting questions and comments and just kind of formulating what I wanted to talk about because the comments have definitely changed. And so I put it down here on paper, and I want to address things one by one. But before I do, a couple of things. One is, this is not designed to be political. Clearly, when we talk about certain issues like this, it'll become political. But, try the best you can to not make it that way in the comments. Make it more practical and give your practical experiences and think maybe even anecdotal stuff that you're seeing in your particular reselling niche, or maybe just more reselling in general, what you're experiencing out there, both on the buying side and on the overhead side and on the selling side. Now, the general theme when you're looking at Pete's channel over there, you use the word recession twice, and that's the general theme here. Are things headed in the right direction? Seems to be not headed in the right direction. And there's some more specific issues, I think, as they relate to resellers that I want to talk about today as well. Things like, inflation in general, I get, but fuel costs, and how does that affect resellers, and what are the long-term ramifications? And is there anything really we can do about it that might help us in the long term? So first thing I was getting comments, obviously, about, it's on everybody's top of their list, right, is inflation. And inflation is a big general term, but a lot of this stuff is driven by, in my opinion, high labor costs for a multitude of reasons, as well as fuel costs and other issues like that. So I just kind of wanted to divide it up a little bit. How many of y'all are out there are really changing what you do and how you do it based on fuel costs? I'm curious to see how many of you have made adjustments. I've had a few comments from people. Well, let me give you an example really quick. I saw a couple comments from folks that said that they were no longer doing 1-day shipping. They were going to do 2-day shipping because they didn't want to go out to the post office or UPS or FedEx or wherever multiple times or more times than they had to. And I thought, that's interesting. A couple people talk about, having pickup at their house. They finally went and scheduled all that stuff and go through that process every day to save that gas. Some people talk about how they're routing their different tasks. In other words, this day used to be sourcing and, shipping or whatever, and they'd combine things in order to go out one less day. I think that's interesting as well. And one topic that I think a lot of people have really overlooked for a long time, and that's the cost of renting storage. And so they're adjusting that, not just because the cost of storage is going up like everything else, but the cost of fuel to go back and forth to wherever your storage is. Even if it's only, 5 miles away or whatever, if you're doing it on a daily basis, because you're doing your shipping on a daily basis, it can add up. And so, investing in something like this, a shed or creating space in your home, might be a better option in the long term if you think that fuel cost, energy costs in general are going up. And so there's some adjustments. So let me get your feedback on those things right there. And then we're going to talk about another topic. Side note, I made a decision many months ago. Not that I'm predicting the future or anything, but you could definitely see the trajectory of energy costs. And I made a major financial decision that I'm going to talk about in a coming video, and then make a dedicated video and put it on the Commonwealth Auctions channel before long, because I think that we're being forced into making decisions. Whether we should be forced into making them or not, they're definitely decisions that we need to be thinking of. But in regards to fuel costs, the biggest concern for me as a reseller are the ramifications of those fuel costs that will never be turned back, like shipping costs. So obviously it takes fuel to get packages from A to B. And so you've seen the increase with Postal Service. I mean, you've seen it for years now, but quite frankly, I'm shocked that it hasn't gone up further. And I know that scares a lot of people, but that is a massive cost. I've started seeing things when I sell an item to see the shipping cost almost as much as the item's sale cost. And that's just not something that's terribly sustainable over time. You've seen this shift to UPS, at least I have, this shift to UPS away from the Postal Service. And that's as much, I think it's actually more of a labor issue than it is a fuel cost issue. And I think that fuel costs are going to continue to drive up the cost of shipping. I think some companies like UPS right now are eating that extra cost to get more of a market share, but I think eventually that's going to wear off, especially when the post office is taking itself out of the competition for larger packages and longer packages. It's going to end up hurting us now. That doesn't necessarily mean it will hurt us. There might be some innovation in the space. FedEx and UPS are still competing. There might be another player come in. Who knows? It might even be an acceleration of drone delivery. You never know. I mean, the world's changing quick. In regards to labor inflation, all these companies, all these platforms that we sell on are having increased labor costs as well. So they're trying to be creative, in my opinion, when I look at things, trying to make money in different ways without just straight up raising the fees. In essence, it doesn't matter, which way they get their money. It's whatever's most palatable to sellers like me and you, or really the path of least resistance that they're going to. But I think that is an issue. And so rising fees or rising costs of selling your goods on a particular platform because of labor costs are, to me, as big of an issue as anything else, with the exception of one thing, which I'll talk about in a second. Now, what I'm going to say right now is going to make a lot of people mad, but this is personal. This is my opinion here, so don't get mad at me here. These issues that I've discussed are actually a bigger deal, and there's one I'm going to talk about later I think is an even bigger deal. These issues are bigger deals than the one I'm going to talk about now, the one that I hear about the most, and that's the rising cost of Goodwill prices and thrift store prices. Now, I think that's an issue, don't get me wrong, and it's especially an issue for those who do the majority of their sourcing at thrift stores, so I get it, so I'm not trying to offend those people. I personally don't. But to me, sourcing is the least of our concerns compared to these other issues. The scarcity of items out there is, for me anyways, it's just not that big of an issue, and I've addressed this before. You just might maybe have to adapt a little bit how you source, but there is plenty of stuff to sell out there. Matter of fact, I think that taxes are a bigger issue, and the $600 1099 and all that stuff in our favor. I've mentioned this before. Not that I like taxes, that's not what I'm saying at all, but this has actually created a space where a lot of resellers are getting out of the business, and you're seeing more opportunities to source, more opportunities for items to sell, as opposed to the scarcity of it. Now, the rising costs at Goodwill aren't a good thing, but overall, inflation means that we're going to be able to get a little bit more for our items as well. Now, if this is truly a recession and times get tough, people start to figure out what it is they want to spend their money on, so you might have to kind of regulate and change how you're sourcing or what you're sourcing. But I personally don't see sourcing as the biggest of our concerns by any stretch of the imagination. All right, y'all, so I'm going to make an argument why all of these issues, while they're relevant and important, they can all be mitigated to some degree. Not very much in some cases, but to some degree can be mitigated by the way you react to them, the way I react to them. a little bit. But there's one issue that really, for the most part, is out of our control unless somehow, some way, it's done legislatively or through pressure, through a group effort, and that is what I'm going to call, for lack of a better term here, third-party reselling. Now, what I mean by that isn't like drop shipping. What I mean by that is, let's take Amazon, for instance. Amazon, for years, has had restrictions. You're not allowed to sell this item unless if you're working with the brand, that kind of thing. You got to have a chain of custody. You got to have the receipt and all that stuff. And to some of that, that's legitimate. And basically, the argument is, this might be stolen merchandise or whatever. And that's the rationale they have behind it, right? Behind restricting different things. And there's other issues as well. But brands are doing this because a lot of brands sell directly to Amazon. So they want to eliminate competition of their own brand item being sold on Amazon. So Amazon, of course, wants that business. So they're going to help them restrict people that might already own the product. So take that, and it's always been an issue on Amazon, and I kind of get that to some degree because that's Amazon's model. eBay's model is completely different, and I have seen this kind of stuff creep into eBay, and I have not seen eBay yet stand up to some of these bigger corporations, and they've really capitulated to them to some degree or another, and that needs to stop. Because think about it for a second. If you buy an automobile, you can resell your automobile. Well, that is in some ways directly competitive. It's a direct competition with, say, a GM who's selling cars, right? If you just eliminated the used car market completely from a third-party seller who already owned the product or maybe bought it off somebody else and is reselling it to somebody, you would eliminate a massive amount of competition and be able to increase your profit margins and increase your prices. And so we have particular items out there that just slowly but surely you're starting to see them, and I'm not going to get into each one. I mean, let's just take that. I mean, look at the daily refinement thing. And clearly, I could see corporations out there, big corporations out there, using anything and everything to eliminate competition, even if it's the small guy or a collective group of small guys out there. That is a big fear to me. And I could see legislation coming about in order to protect these corporate monsters, because that's where a lot of politicians get their money from, right? I mean, that's where you want to run a campaign, are you going to get money from some, Commonwealth picker guy on eBay, or are you going to get it from Nike or whatever? So there are some concerns there about government legislation protecting big manufacturers, and we get kind of lost in the fray. And people don't think about it often, but I mean, are you telling me, what if Disney says, no, you're not going to be allowed to sell this Disney toy anymore? Sorry. I'm out of business. And, so far that hasn't happened, but it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. In bad economic times, people start to make bad decisions for the whole in order to protect their own butt. And so that's kind of the thing that scares me more than anything in an economic downturn, is bad legislation, bad free market practices coming out of it. Those are the kind of things, in my opinion, we should be much more afraid of than high gas prices. Now, I don't like high gas prices, and it hurts business. But look at the tax. We used to not pay taxes. We didn't. That's not what I'm saying. There used to be no taxes on purchases on eBay. And then that got implemented, and so you've seen an uptick on those prices right there, which, I suppose it was inevitable it was going to happen. And then you see fees going up, and then you see shipping costs going up, and it's eliminated a lot of the small stuff that I sell. It's a lot harder to make those sales. But if you start restricting categories, carte blanche, if you start doing that, then it's really going to put a big-time stranglehold on my business here. So I want to get your feedback into some of those issues out there as well. Maybe even some of the brands you're starting to see do that with. I mean, we talk about P90X and those, and the whole idea is, well, that's counterfeit, and so they're restricting whatever. Okay, you tell me all the P90 stuff that's got taken off is all counterfeit? I find that very, very hard to believe. I know that's not the case. Now, let me just say two more things really, really quickly. First, I would love to hear your comments below on some of these issues, maybe even add to those issues. But at the same time, I am what I would call myself cautiously optimistic. I'm not an Eeyore out there, woe is me, everything is terrible. And I know that some people are naturally inclined to do that. I'm not. I actually see reselling getting better and better and better and better over the years. I don't see it getting worse, but I do think that these are some concerns that I have and some things that I keep an eye on, and I want to know your opinions below. All right, now back to the normal part of our show, which is showing you what things have sold out of the Commonwealth cabin and telling you how much they went for. So we're going to do some pretty cool sales today, but there's not nearly as many as there typically is because this is not a typical shipping day. We're taking a couple days off, and I wanted to get this video in because I think those topics are important. So, you know, hopefully you guys chime in below and give me your thoughts on them, but let's take a look at what's sold. 8-tracks are getting low, y'all. 8-tracks are getting low. We had 3 of these, Rolling Stones, Some Girls right there. And that sold for $12.95, I think, something like that, plus shipping for that one. That's a pretty cool cover right there. I like it. That's a pretty good one. So 3 of those are going to eventually sell, hopefully for that price right there. If you've been watching my show for any amount of time, you know that this next sale is something that I absolutely love for 2 or 3 reasons. The first reason is because it's a when in doubt, parted out item. I think it's in shed juice. It has been here a long time. Should be in the very back. Got it right there. It is. These are Nordic Track knobs. And I sometimes part, well, I haven't in a while. When I first started this show, I would part these things out often. And this is the last part of the last Nordic Track that I parted out. And there's a video about it. I don't know if something like I swear I'd never do this again or something like that. But I've done 2 videos about parting out the old Nordic Track skiers. And these are always hard to sell. But you know what? It sold, I think, right around $8 plus shipping for this last little part. It's not much, but we're all in a pure profit at this point. So that is awesome. Next one is right here. There it is, Grasshopper chart. And if you're new to the show, you haven't seen me sell one of these in a while. I had to go in and change all these. I'll show it to you in just a second. Because the length was going over that amount for, how long is it there? 32 inches almost for USPS. So I went in and changed all of them to my first choice being UPS. And they started to go again. So, well, this one did anyway. This chart is pretty cool right here. I love this guy. Check this out, y'all. That one right there sold for $150 plus shipping. So that is an awesome sale. By the way, that last sale I messed up. Nordic Track thing sold for $850 plus shipping, but who cares when you just sold something for $150, right? I love that one. I love the frog one. There's a black cat one that's pretty cool, but this one's probably my 3rd favorite of the bunch. $150 plus shipping. So any of that old school stuff, old school, no pun in, well, pun intended. I don't know. That stuff can sometimes sell well, including the maps. You gotta be careful with them though, because some don't. And including the old globes as well, but those are kind of bulky. Speaking of real old school, I sold a CD and I thought it was gonna be another one of those old school hip hops, but it's not. This one's from 2006, and I'm not even really sure what it is. It looks almost like anime-ish kind of stuff. I'm sure somebody's gonna tell me what it is. But it was, I think, $16 plus shipping. Beautiful Joy original soundtrack. Anybody recognize that? Should I recognize that? Because I don't. And it is this Capcom 2006. I don't know what the heck that is, but I'll take the money. And it's pure profit at this point. I was wrong about that. It was $16.90 plus media mail shipping. And sometimes I do ship those out first class, depending on where they're going. And this is an old Tupperware top, and it's not in the best shape, so it didn't go for as much as normal. But I think out the door, they're in for just under $11.90. That's the 224. I talk about them so much and how easy money they are. A few dollars profit. Now everybody's selling them, which is okay. We're still making a little bit of money now and again on them. Sold some more God Bless America stickers. And let's see here. These are the ones that are all folded up, but still, nobody's complaining. I try to flatten them out and ship them flat. So we're doing pretty good. There's 3, 4, 5. And they're only going for $10, but you know what? It's a $5 profit every single time I sell one. Let me make sure I have them all. 1, 2, I don't think I have them all. No, I do. 3, 4, 5. There you go, $10. So the head cover, look at how low we are. That's all the golf stuff we have after, you know, 2 giant full tubs plus hats and everything else. This is just about it here from the Lost and Found sale. And it's an R5, not in great shape, still sold for $11.50. I don't show the inside very often, but I figured since this is the only thing inside, I'd go grab it. Sony RDR, what is it? RDR GX255. It is, believe it or not, a DVD player. That's all it is, DVD player. And it's sold for good money, but I don't remember how much, so I'm gonna take it back outside. And I almost forgot right here, y'all. Well, let me tell you this real quick, since this is for Art of Resale out there. I got some merch, V-Friends merch. Look at that, Gary V autograph. I think I'm about doing a whatnot with some of this stuff. Another autograph right there. So, plus a bunch of other stuff, but most of you don't care about that. And an Inaman's going out. Ian, I think you're the person who bought this, and I'm going to give you a thank you on the next show for the Inaman. So thank you for that. There's always one up on auction. And we really do appreciate how many people have grabbed these over the last 3 years. And we are running low, it looks like down to about 65 to 70, I think, which is okay. Because we got these guys in CommonwealthPicker.com. So if you need something to get your eBay store moving, gotta grab one. At any rate, let's go back out there. I remember I bought this at a sale, and I only paid $5 for it. It sold for $42 plus shipping. So it's a DVD recorder. It's pretty high-end, you know, for Sony. And, you know, I don't normally pick up DVD players, but this one's a good one. And it's not amazing, but, you know, $42 doesn't have a remote. If I had a remote, you'd be better off even than that. But you know what? 5 into 42, I could ship that thing in like 3-4, maybe 5 minutes. I'm pretty quick at it. Definitely faster than Yakov Benz could do it for sure. Hey baby, got some sales right here from my little girl here, Reagan. CommonwealthPicker.com. What you got?
Kara got an Animal Man. Ivan got a Trash Cash hat and a Commonwealth Flipper sticker, I'm assuming. Deanna got a CWP sticker and a blue shirt. And John got a Trash Cash hat. I think he got 2. No, a Trash Cash hat and a sticker.
Got it. Oh, and a Trash Cash sticker too. Really cool. All right, thank you.
Bye, and don't forget to get your sticker at CommonwealthPicker.com.
Hey y'all, I shipped a sign last video, but it's actually being shipped out the next day, and I just wanted you to see how I did it, because I knew I'd have a lot of questions from that video. So it's that giant Formula One Marlboro car. And basically what I do when I have items like that is I'll go out and I'll find a flat screen TV box, and I'll literally cut it in half. That's exactly what I did here. And then I slit the sides up just a little on both sides, so I can slide one half over the other half, and you end up with a double box. And then I bubble wrap that in there and put that in there. But you have a really snug double box. And that's basically how I do it. You got to force it in there a little bit, and you got to slit the sides to make sure it fits. But once you do that, man, that is a great way to protect an item for sure. All right, y'all, I got a question about American Bubble Boy, and I'm always happy to get that question, because it means I get to remind people of the American Bubble Boy link below. And somebody asked me about their, I don't even know what the service is called. Subscription service. I have done the subscription service, but I started to sell so much more than I usually did that I had to do an order in between. But if you can plan it perfectly, and you know it's pretty consistent how much bubble wrap you use, it is a great service. But anyways, those links are down there. So thank y'all for anybody who uses those, any of our links. We really do appreciate it. The Rolo links, all kinds of stuff. So I want to say thank you for that. And I guess it's next episode we announce the winner of the scale, and then after that we're going to give away one of the tape dispensers. So tell me down below if you want. Well, we've already done that. I think we're going to do the black double tape dispenser next, so give it a couple more shows and we'll do that. So thank you all for everything. As always, hope you guys are doing great out there. I love your feedback, by the way. I have picked up a few things lately at yard sales that I would have never picked up had it not been for some of you pros out there, and some of you part-timers. Some of you niche down people who really, really know what you're doing. Haven't had a guest in here, so I better open this, see who it is. All right. Pepper, how you doing, girl? Pepper doesn't like to stay in my arms very long, do you? Oh, look at you. Maybe she thinks she's going to get a treat. But I don't mind it when y'all tell me what I missed, because it helps me learn out there. So there's a proverb I always say, as iron sharpens iron, so one man or woman sharpens another. And I have gotten so much better lately on those picker videos. Oh, look who come to join me. How you doing? Because you guys. So thank you for everything, and I can't wait to see you next time. There you go, girl. There you go. Oh, cats. How did I ever become a cat person? I would have never guessed it, y'all. Never guessed it.